Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Line CV. Welcome to another opposition analysis video. I'm here today with Ben Smith from BenMightSay. It's a Liverpool YouTube channel, make sure you guys check it out. It's going to be in the link in the description below. Ben, hey man, how you doing?
Very good, mate. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. How are you feeling about yesterday after losing it? I mean, as the game was going on, were you feeling pretty confident?
Yeah, to be honest, we never really felt in any danger. The first half was quite even. I'd say Chelsea probably did edge the first half, but without really creating anything clear cut. Maybe one or two half chances, and I thought Kovacic played pretty well, making his runs from deep. But Moses was getting a bit of joy against Moreno on the right hand side for you guys, but never really looked like creating anything. Morata looked a bit short of confidence, so and obviously Hazard wasn't on the pitch, so I felt pretty comfortable. And then we get the goal, and everything looks okay, and we're the ones knocking on the door for a second. And then the equaliser is a bit of a soft one, isn't it? There's a hint, there's a question mark over the free kick award, and there's a bit of hint of offside, but it's one of them. And then the Hazard introduction in the end was the difference. We didn't bring on Salah until very late, until after Hazard had scored, and we brought Firmino on. But yeah, we just looked a bit disjointed. I mean, obviously both sides made a lot of changes, and there wasn't much rhythm in either side. To be honest, it wasn't a vintage display by either side, but just that moment of quality from Hazard. What's the difference? And on the balance of play, I'd say it's a fair enough result. Not going to lose any sleep over it. I'd like to have gone far in it, but I think we both agree that the bigger one is to come this Saturday.
Yeah, I think let's be serious. That Hazard goal really did separate things. I mean, it was such like an incredible moment of brilliance and genius. So it's really hard to defend against stuff like that, anyways. And that's what the game was ultimately decided by. But yeah, obviously watching the game yesterday, do you get any type of confidence now for Saturday, especially after seeing Kante coming on, Hazard coming on? Do you still feel very optimistic?
I do. I mean, obviously, I'm sure, as you know, our team will completely change. I mean, the back five has been completely revamped. But the back five that you beat yesterday was obviously our back five that was our first choice 2 seasons ago. But even though you don't necessarily think of the likes of Alexander-Arnold and Gomez and Robertson as like the Premier League's best defenders. They didn't have big price tags. They are so important to us in the way we play. And obviously, we have got the world record centre back and the former world record goalkeeper there as well, who have been brilliant, especially Van Dijk this season, who's been pretty much flawless. And then the midfield will be completely different as well with Van Wijnaldum coming back in, and we'll have that front three, which has caused problems to the whole of Europe. So I don't think yesterday's game necessarily has any negative impact on our confidence going in. And then the bookmakers do have us as slight favourites, which surprises me a little bit. We were favourites going to Spurs away as well, which surprised me slightly. But we went there and did a job. I think Chelsea is still stronger than Spurs, but the way we went there and should have really won comfortably shows that we can go and do a job at the home of some of these big sides. So yeah, I'm feeling good. It won't be. I think it'll be much tougher than Spurs, and I don't expect it to be a rout either way. But I think we've got every reason to be confident.
Yeah, I mean, obviously watching the game, I think it's going to be pretty different for Liverpool as well. I think, having Jorginho playing, Rudiger, Luiz starting, and Kepa in goal, I think that when it comes to us playing out from the back against you guys on Saturday, I see us having much more joy and confidence playing out from the back. I think that, when we started the first half yesterday, we were really in control of possession. I felt that Liverpool were a bit confused. I think, Klopp had them using that mid-block in midfield to, wait for a moment when to press. But I think in the second half, because, look at the end of the game, Liverpool had like 53% possession, and we had about 62% in the first half. So that's a massive change then. And I think that's going to be the difference because, obviously when Liverpool were starting to press more in the game in the second half, that's how they were able then to look more in control in the game. They were getting the more dangerous chances against us. And yeah, I think that having these guys coming back for us, I think it's going to be harder for Liverpool's press to work as well.
Yeah, and I think last night we saw Fabinho make his debut. didn't quite look up to speed. I mean, we know what he's capable of. We've all seen what he's done at Monaco, and he's comes with a big price tag, and all of our fans are really excited to see
Yeah.
him. And some of them, in fact, have just been calling for us to get him straight into the team, even though we've been winning every game in the league. And I think it showed. There was just so much disjointedness in that midfield. Naby Keita played as well, and even he, who probably has had a decent start to his Liverpool career, not a great one, he will not be starting on Saturday. And James Milner did start there. And he just looked like he was having to do a few jobs at once. It didn't quite look as though he had the security that he does have when Wijnaldum and Henderson are there. So, Chelsea did have control of midfield, and Fabregas in particular. I thought it was criminal how much space he was being allowed, and he was allowed to get his head up and pick passes, which, as long as you get tight to Fabregas, you should be able to stop him, but we just didn't do that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Jorginho will operate in a similar manner. We cannot afford to let him, especially if he's going to have the likes of, Mateo Kovacic and N'Golo Kante making us run some deep, which they both have a license to do. And there's, of course, the threat coming wide from Alonso as well. And if Luis has one forward, so there's plenty for Liverpool to worry about. But having said that, it's not going to be a case where you're going to have all the ball and you're not going to be wary of the threat that we pose going the other way. I think in your mind, even if there's one mistake that we pounce on, that will stick in Chelsea's mind. And of course, you have the ability and the ball playing centre back, and Alonso's good on the ball, and Jorginho obviously coming deep in between the centre backs and picking up possession. Plenty of capable players, but I think you can only prepare so much for that press, and that there is a reason that Liverpool persists with it. Because if it was so easy to play against, then we wouldn't have won every single game this season. So I think that's what makes it such a fascinating battle. I think we will be happy to absorb a lot of the pressure that you guys are going to put onto us, and trust that Van Dijk's going to be able to thwart Giroud, Robertson and Trent are going to be able to thwart the wingers. I mean, Hazard against Trent is going to be fascinating. That you might look at that as a duel that you can win because of Trent's inexperience, but I think the kid deserves a bit of recognition for how he dealt with Sané last season in the Champions League, how he dealt with Ronaldo in the Champions League, and he's carried that into this season. And whereas Nathaniel Klein looked a bit shy and a bit nervous, and you could really get at him. Trent is a different animal, and I think now that he's been at a World Cup, he really feels like a part of the senior team, and Robertson, like a real hero of the Cup. I honestly think this is going to be one of the most fascinating games of the first month of the season.
Yeah, I think so. I'm really looking forward to this game. I've been anticipating it since Sarri arrived, and just those I wouldn't even say contrasting styles. I think that finally we're going to get. I think we can potentially get a classic Premier League game coming on Saturday. So Liverpool are definitely going to be different. I think too. When you got Salah, Mane, Firmino starting. I mean, Firmino. Let's be serious. Sturridge wasn't pressing the same as what Firmino does. I don't think Klopp's going to be using that 4-2-3-1 like against Southampton. That was a bit of an what did he want to test? How many attacking players have played together? Do you think, or?
Yeah, so I mean, in that game, obviously Shaqiri had a lot of freedom, but I mean, even though he played really well and got a couple of assists, he hooked him at half time and went back to the 4-3-3. Obviously, we had a 3-0 lead there, so he was able to protect that. But going to Stamford Bridge, there's no way he's gonna someone like Shaqiri in that hole. I think we've got to be very disciplined. And I think you guys will be the same. I mean, the midfield threes, when you line them up against each other, they're not exactly all flair players. They're all very mechanical. They all do a job. Wijnaldum is like an ox. He's very strong, uses his body well, very clever positioning. Henderson doesn't get too much. And Milner, it's staggering how he's still starting for Liverpool, and that's
testament.
Him. His fit levels defensively, he'll do anything. He's a real team player, and I think Mane, Salah, and Firmino are going to have to do a lot defensively as well. And I couldn't honestly tell you how they're going to line up that front three because, will Firmino maybe play off the left as he has done a couple of times this season, and we'll let maybe Salah have a go through the middle. Aspilicueta can deal with pace. We know he's clever enough to do that, but how will he fare against Firmino's dropping deep and movement and creating that space in behind? Behind David Luiz, who I rate him, but I think it's fair to question his brain at times. I'm not sure if that's an unfair suggestion.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that a lot of people think that Luiz loses concentration. I think it's his game to take risks. He's like a playmaker in a sense from defence. So sometimes these things are going to happen. But yeah, exactly, you're right. And yeah, I mean, one player who's really stepped up this season is Wijnaldum. I think he's really been playing pretty well for Liverpool recently. But yeah, I think that the front three threat, Salah starting this game. I mean, he only came on with like 4 or 5 minutes to go last night. You know, you were seeing that Liverpool was starting to put pressure out wide enough. I mean, they were struggling at times to really do much, and you know, Aspie kept losing the ball quite a lot. Emerson wasn't able to push up as much as he wanted to. I think obviously having Hazard really helped change things as well. But I still think, even though we saw both teams play yesterday, I can't say who the definitive winner is. I think that it's still going to be really close. It's still going to be 50-50. And yeah, I wanted to ask any of your final thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, I guess just finally, I think one of the things we might take solace from is that when Arsenal went to the bridge, obviously you did look a bit vulnerable at the end of that first half, and Arsenal probably could have gone on to score more than they did. They got those 2 goals, and it looked a bit disjointed. Obviously, you've looked okay defensively since then. They've conceded many, and you know, even when you've gone behind in games like against Cardiff, you've come back and you've breezed through. And obviously, Hazard is in the form of his life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I can understand why the bookies have got it so tight. I can also understand why we're slight favourites. And yeah, I think just given the way we've dealt with the big sides, and you know, even against PSG, Neymar had no joy and Mbappe had full joy. Besides that, obviously he equalised at the end, but throughout the game he was very quiet. I think there's enough in there for someone like me to be confident. So you know, in my own preview, I've picked us to edge it 2-1. So while not necessarily going to slap loads of money on that, I think I'm happy enough to go with that.
There's a slight chance. I mean, in my opinion, I feel that we are going to get the win again. I think that Liverpool won't have as much joy pressing us high, because I think with our main guys back in Rudiger, Luiz, Jorginho and Kepa in goal, it's going to play a massive difference, and I don't think we'll suffer as much as we did yesterday. And I think against Liverpool, I've always felt that, you know, guys like Hazard and Willian, for example, they always have spaces and freedom to play between the lines. I think that obviously, naturally, if you beat a press, there's obviously space behind you can attack. And I think this is why Hazard has had, you know, pretty good performances against Liverpool recently, and our other players do well. And I see guys like Kante and Kovacic playing between them. You know, we've got more options now in the final third. And playing at home too, I feel that it could be 3-1 to us. I'm feeling optimistic.
That's a fair shout, and yeah, it's definitely a closest thing to a 50-50 match you can get in the Premier League this season so far, I think.
Exactly. But anyway, man, thank you for coming on, you guys. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. Signing out.